Mikael Sjövall from the Nordic Investment Finance Corporation. You have a lot of money to invest in environment engineering, but how much, where does it come from, and where do you invest it?
Well, the money originally is from the Nordic Ministries of Environment, and we give loans and make capital investments, and then the money that comes back to us is then reinvested in new environmental projects. So, to my knowledge, we are the only financial institution that finances environmental projects.
So, what areas do you invest in, and which countries does the investment cover?
Well, we are mainly working with three environmental key areas, being climate issues, Baltic Sea related projects, and then projects that reduce releases of toxic substances.
And this is what in Russia and
yes,
Belarus? And,
yes, the main market area is Russia, and then we have Ukraine and Belarus as fairly new countries. We have been active in the Baltic states since the beginning of the 90s, but there we are now downgrading our presence due to the fact that as EU members they have other funds available.
So how much do you buy for €1 or 1 million euros or whatever in reductions?
Well, of course, the price tag for emission reductions varies a lot, but in general I'd say that if we compare the shadow prices in the Nordic region with the prices in Russia and Ukraine, for instance, one can say that in average it costs about 8 times more to reduce 1 ton of carbon dioxide in the Nordic region than what it costs in Russia, for instance. And pretty much the same logic applies also to calculating the price tags for discharges of phosphorus and nitrogen that fuel eutrophication of the Baltic Sea.
This comes from what? From agriculture, from water treatment, or what?
If we look at the Baltic Sea projects, it's mainly about wastewater treatment. We have funded 24 such projects since the beginning of our existence. And then we have a wide range of agricultural projects where we are improving treatment of manure in connection to pig farms, cow farms, for instance, and where we can also achieve a win-win solution where we can prevent discharges of nutrients to the Baltic Sea, but at the same time also generate energy from biogas, for instance, when financing a biogas reactor in connection to a pig farm.
You lend a small amount of a project cost. How difficult is it for municipalities or private corporations to find the rest of the money at the moment?
Well, it depends very much on the country. In Ukraine and Latvia, for instance, the financial crisis and the recession has hit them very severely and badly. So in those two countries, it is clearly seen that co-financing is a problem, and finding other financiers, especially commercial banks, are currently very reluctant to give loans for the projects we are interested in. But in Russia, the situation is already slightly improving, and in Belarus, of course, the situation is quite different since it's not a pure market economy.
There are some targets for reductions of phosphorus, nitrogen, CO2 of the Baltic area. How close are we coming to those targets through NEFCO's help?
Well, of course, it's not only thanks to NEFCO that we are approaching those targets, but the financial institutions are the main players when it comes to upgrading the wastewater treatment plants in Russia and the Baltic states in particular. If we look at the target that has been set by the Helsinki Commission, HELCOM, the states surrounding the Baltic Sea have committed themselves to reducing the discharges of phosphorus by 15,000 tons per year. And NEFCO, in the projects that we finance, we contribute to an emission reduction of 1,000 tons of phosphorus per year. So that gives you a picture of our sort of our role in this.
And how long is it taking you to get that 1,000?
Well, that's a cumulative figure.
Yeah.
But of course, that has taken us 19 years to develop those networks, and sometimes a project, wastewater treatment project, can take quite a long time from the feasibility study to the end of the project, where the plant starts really cutting those discharges. So it can be a very long process, I'm afraid.
If we ignore the present financial situation, how confident are you that we will reach those targets within, say, the next decade?
Well, I'm confident that we will be able to solve the main point emissions in the Baltic Sea in the near future. St. Petersburg is already almost there. In 2-3 years' time, they will be able to treat about 95% of their wastewater, and so are the largest cities in the Baltic states. Kaliningrad still remains a challenge, unfortunately.
That's political, is it not at the moment?
Sorry?
Is that political at the moment?
Well, yes, it's mainly due to disputes regarding the tendering procedures and that are in the way. But I'm quite confident that when it comes to solving problems related to wastewater treatment, we will achieve lots of progress in the near future. The remaining challenges relate then very much to agriculture and the diffuse discharges from farms.
And you say diffuse, that means it's more difficult to deal with, more costly to deal with, perhaps?
Well, diffuse in the sense that the discharges originate from a wide range of different sources, and it's more difficult to put your finger on from where the discharges originate, unlike a city where you can solve the situation more effectively by upgrading the wastewater treatment plant. But with an increased volume of new animal farms being established in both in the Baltic states, but also in the catchment area of the Baltic Sea, we will witness more challenges to address those problems.
But you're optimistic you'll reach it?
Yes, I think so, because the cooperation between the international financial institutions has improved, so there's more funds available, and also we can clearly see that the Russian government on a federal level from Moscow is also addressing this, and this can be seen in increased financial shares in single wastewater treatment projects, where the Russians themselves are already financing up to 70% of the investment costs, and that's a very different situation as compared to the beginning of the 90s, when foreign funding was the bulk of the investments.
Okay. Mikael, Sjövall, thank you much indeed. Michael de Laine for the Copenhagen Voice in Gdansk.
Thank you. Yeah.